Welcome back. On today's episode of Every Woman, we're talking about the tables, political tables, relationship tables, hell, whatever tables we can think of. So come on into the studio with us and let's get into it. This is Every Woman.
Queens over here, and make no mistake in big things over here. Goddess in the flesh, you can tell by the smell of it. Every time I step in the room, it's an elephant. Woman.
Hey ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing? Welcome back to the week. Happy Monday.
Yes.
I don't know if Mondays are really ever really like happy, but whatever. So we just gonna start off real positive.
Yes.
It's happy when they're watching us.
Hey. So listen, I just wanted to talk about something real quick, that an experience that I had the other day. Coming home from work, stopped by this place where I'm a wine club member to pick up my Little Sippers 6-pack of wine. And they give you a couple of pours, and they had trivia going on, and they gave me some nibbles, and it was fun. I was sitting there by myself, and I have my little brims on, you know. And this lady, she stops me and gives me a compliment, but she's like, "Oh, your hat is so nice." I'm like, "Why are you touching me?" In my head, I didn't want to be rude, and so
Violation.
And so I just felt like you could give a compliment, but you don't have to touch me. Have y'all ever felt that way, or has anyone ever done that to you?
Yes.
Yeah?
At the apple orchard with my child. Chaperoning. Lady comes up to me and tells me that she likes my jacket, and she decides to caress my arm in the process.
Was it like a fuzzy jacket?
No.
It wasn't even like
No,
fuzzy
it had texture to it.
Okay.
But there was no reason for you to touch me.
Right.
I don't know what you've been doing with your hands, woman.
Yeah, so what's with the touching and the compliments? I don't get it. And it wasn't one lady, but two.
Oh, wow.
Like, they must have been sipping way too much wine.
That's probably what it was.
They
You know, people
double-dipped
get
on.
friendly.
Listen, it was probably about 5, 6 o'clock-ish. Like, it was early. I was one of the first people there. I'm like, y'all ain't been sitting here that long. Where you done turned up to the point where you want to touch a stranger.
They might have pre-gamed.
I've had somebody touch the side of my face and want to rub in my hair before as well.
No.
Absolutely.
I get the hair thing all the time. People feel like, because I think maybe it's long, so they just feel like it's accessible. And it's
is
just
really
there,
long.
so they just touch it. Oh, your hair's so soft, your hair is so long. Is this your real hair? Do you have extensions? Like, yeah, I get that a lot. And I'm like, usually like, okay, you know, I just kind of brush it off. I guess I don't really mind it so much when it's women. Now, dudes, like, while I'm out, will rub up on my skin. Your skin is so soft. I'm
no, you
like,
don't.
why are you touching me? I don't like that. I get that literally all the time when I'm out. If I go to, like, the club or bar or, like, any night outing with my girls particularly.
Is that because you showing too much skin, Amber?
I mean, I do show some skin, but
I don't know if y'all
I do, but that doesn't mean touch me.
Okay, everybody in here looks nice and touchable, and I'm sure that my belly also would attract some, but for some reason, maybe it's just I don't get out a whole lot like I used to, but people don't be trying to touch my belly, and I'm so thankful because I don't know what I do. I would be very upset
That's
if someone...
intrusive.
Yeah, like,
that
you
is
know,
very
and I've
intrusive.
heard, like, people say, oh, well, you know, while you're pregnant, people get real, you know, funny and touchy, and oh my God. The one question I don't like, and this touches my spirits, is it a boy or a girl? It's a kid. It's 2 kids. we gonna have 2 kids. And maybe that's a slightly, you know, left of the topic, but I'm thankful I don't got no touchy stories because except for with 1 and 2 here.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, they just don't respect personal space at this point. Like, I don't even like people stand too close to me. And I'm one of those people, like, I'm a hugger. You know, hey, how you doing? That's how I greet people, with hugs. But don't grope me, don't touch my hair, don't touch my face. I remember in high school, a girl, like, palmed the back of my head. So I was like, your hair is so cute, because they weren't used to seeing me without weave or whatever. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, you feeling for tracks or you're just being rude or something. Like,
Listen,
I'm the tracks.
y'all know I'm the bald one in the crew, right? I love
I was like, what?
Y'all,
when did that happen?
Had to notice.
No.
Anyway.
Not funny?
I
Okay.
recognize you from the lip bar.
There you go.
I be the one that want to touch hair. Like it's like a magnet for me to just start, you know. You know?
Don't touch me.
1 and 2 over here.
You're so touchable today, Sabrina.
That's all right. That's all right. I
Next
can't
up,
cozy.
one for the belly. No, she kidding.
But y'all got permission.
I think I did rub your belly before.
I know I did.
Look,
I know I did.
people who I'm around, especially in close quarters, don't forget COVID ain't over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like,
Yeah.
close quarters people, we learned a lot during what was a pandemic. Like, do we forget that 6 feet of space is just like actually like good common courtesy, good like, citizenship to just stay the F
I'm
away
not
from
gonna
people?
lie, I missed the 6 feet of distance in the mask.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that very much. I went to my son. Okay, I'm not gonna try to put my son out there, but he went to the mall to meet somebody over the weekend, and I had to take him, and I was like, I'm not ready yet. Like, I had got out the shower, but I hadn't done my hair and my facial. I was just dressed, kinda. I had slides on, so I got my clothes on, but I got slides on. I'm like, man, I don't want to go in there, and I didn't know, like, you didn't tell me. And he was like, you look fine, you're fine, you're fine. I was like, I want a mask so bad, because I felt like I could just hide in a mask. It's just throw your hair in a bun, have a mask on. You gotta worry about makeup. You gotta wear mask and sunglasses.
Yeah.
6 feet of space, man, those were the days.
Don't let you have a hat.
okay.
Sometimes when I wasn't doing something I wasn't supposed to, like when I was doing something I wasn't supposed to, I was like, oh, thank God I got this mask on. So, it happens.
All right, ladies. So let's get into our topics for today. So today we're talking about the tables, right?
Okay.
We got a few tables we're going to talk about today. We're going to start talking about the political tables because, we're in the middle of a midterm election. So rock the vote. Everybody get out and vote if you vote. What is it? November 8th, Tuesday, November 8th.
If you don't vote, go vote.
Go
There
vote.
you go.
You're
You
supposed to
still
go
got
vote.
time to register to vote in some states.
Wait, but don't vote unless you know what you're voting for, please.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about that, right? Because it's some crazy, crazy ads out here right now.
Absolutely.
Ooh-wee.
There was this one ad of this lady, and I'm not gonna even mention her name, but she's rapping.
Hey, Utah District 12, listen up right here. There's a new name on the ballot for the Senate this year. My name is Linda Paulson, Republican and awesome. Love God and family and the Constitution. I tried to get another conservative to run. Nobody could do it, so I'm getting it done. I'm pro-religious freedom, pro-life, pro-police, the right to bear arms and the right to free speech. I want less government control and regulation, want to stop and expose all political corruption where there's integrity, morality, accountability. Government programs should lead to self-sufficiency and support traditional family as the fundamental unit of society. But in schools, they're pushing for new beliefs. And just to clarify, as a female adult, I know what a woman is.
I'm like, what demographic is she trying to appeal to with this rap that she
This
put
current
together?
election is all focused towards the younger black voters, period. Like, it doesn't matter who's running for office. Everyone wants the young black vote. That's what it's about. So
Yeah.
that answers your question. I don't know why she thought that was the way to go about it, but
No, I mean, that's facts. That's facts, though. Like, you think about it, these are the individuals who are going to be in positions of power in the next, 4 to 8 years, I would imagine. The millennials really are about to take over decision-making positions in the world, quite frankly. And the older generations are slowly moving off, right?
Which I appreciate, because that's one thing in politics. It's always older people who are running. Like, I understand you've been around for a while. You feel like you seasoned and everything like that. But there are a lot of things with the younger generations that you don't know anything about, that you haven't even tapped into. So that's something that needs to change when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
Why are all the old politicians being interviewed by the old journalists so they can talk their old lingo and we still don't know what they talking about? Like, every interview I've seen, because again, I got time, every time I turn on an interview, it's somebody super old talking to somebody super old about old stuff. And I'm like, how am I supposed to relate to any of this if I'm not hearing it in a voice that I can actually relate to? I would love to ask those exact same questions to, it was a Michigan Supreme Court nominee, and it was two of them. They kept saying, "Oh, I have to remain bipartisan because that's the judge's job. We don't have opinions." And I'm like, then why the fuck are you here? Like, what are we talking about?
You look like you want to tap in.
No, I was just gonna say, do you think that it's because we don't have enough young people that are passionate about politics or that can have that conversation or hold that platform and ask those questions? And I'm not, like, there obviously are people, but A, I don't think enough, and B, I don't think that it's the I don't want to say popular, but it's not pop. Like, everybody is obsessed with like pop culture, and that's why the ladies rapping. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to be part of this pop culture versus just being a part of what makes sense and being passionate about something for the right reasons. And I'm not anyone to judge what's right or wrong, but my thing is, pop culture changes with the trends and the fade, and and it fades in and out and whatever. And I feel like politics, they're pretty standard. You know what I mean? Like, politics are pretty
trendy. Like, everything is trendy. Everything.
Everybody wants to be. If it's not trendy, then they're not going to pay attention to it. Which is again why she probably tried to rap, because she thought people would pay attention to it because it's trendy. It's pop. It's
So let's just be clear. My position on politics is I really don't like politics, because just for some of the points that you just said, you don't mean what you say, it seems like, because you'll sell this false bill of goods in your ads and everything, and then once you get into office, it's like, where they at though? Like, where's all these things that you promised? I mean, we can talk about our current administration and how they played to the Black audience, and everybody was like, go to the polls in your pearls and your whatever. And I'm like,
it's like they had to get a gimmick out there, put a gimmick out there for people to vote and to be involved. Because I think a part of the problem with some of the younger generations is they feel like voting doesn't matter. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who feel like it really doesn't matter. They're gonna pick who they want to pick. I've
heard that so many.
But you also have people.
I've even said that.
And you also have people who don't vote because of their religious beliefs.
True. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to canvass this past Friday with a friend of mine who's actually running for office, and I support it because not just because this person's my friend, but because they actually have a heart for what they're doing, and they got some skin in the game for the race that they're running in, right? And one of the residents' doors that we knocked on, she was like, I don't vote. I don't vote. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I don't vote. And I'm like, oh, okay. I remember having a friend some years ago who also told me she didn't vote. And she was a Jehovah's Witness. So I don't know. I'm like, I didn't realize until then, like, oh, yeah, some people don't vote because of their religious beliefs.
But I think, too, like we learn about this in school, right? Like the different levels of government and all this. But I don't think we ever, or at least I didn't in school, learn about politics on a level that would make me feel like I'm prepared to vote. You know what I'm saying? I'm prepared to make that decision or even follow what is going on. And they talk like political jargon, stuff that the average person really isn't going to understand. And then they confuse us with these ads where they're like, it's like a Twitter beef or something, but between politics. You know what I'm saying? Like, their ads are like being hateful towards the other person that's running, and it's just a lot to keep up with. If you're not following it religiously, it is a lot to keep up with. And I think a lot of people, even myself, have a hard time understanding, like, a lot of the things that happened with the Trump administration, we're getting the after effects of now, right? So then people are like, well, Biden might have some role in what's going on, but a lot of this is the after effects from things that were passed during the Trump administration. But now everybody's looking at Biden crazy, and I'm not saying I care for one or the other. Like, I'm not into politics. Like, I really, like, it's unfortunate that so many of us young people who should be able to vote don't, because it's too much, because we don't get it, because we are, I guess, inundated with too many ads pointing at, like, this person's a bad person, this person's a bad person, did you see what he said, did you see what he said? And it's like, oh, I don't know.
Listen, I just happen to know for a fact that in other countries, they don't, like, there's pharmaceutical advertising, it's political advertising, it's a lot of different swaying or whatnot that we allow here that does not happen in other countries. And I remember when I moved back from Japan, I turned on TV and all I saw was things for depression, high blood pressure, gout, you name it. And we all have our issues or whatever. And those issues exist in other places. I think that with the political advertising, the trend that we are seeing is all about numbers and marketing, right? So if they know that the number one show on TV is a reality show that does certain types of things, they're gonna go with that and try to, just at least capture the attention long enough to be liked, long enough to be voted for.
Because you know what a lot of people tend to do, especially people who aren't like in the politics, such as myself. Sometimes when you see that familiar name, like, okay, I'm just go ahead and vote for them. A lot of people tend to do things like that. So even like people doing gimmicky type things, they know like, okay, I did this. It may have been gimmicky, but when they're looking at that ballot and they're not sure who to choose, that name sounds familiar. Yeah, so it happens a lot.
Yeah. Did any of y'all see any like, wildly crazy videos during or advertisements when you've been watching TV?
Well, you know what? Even beyond TV, they have mailers now. There was one hanging out around here somewhere that talked about what you got it, lovely.
Is it in here?
It is. There's a mailer.
I brought this from home.
and lovely, since you have it right on hand, please. I don't want to paraphrase.
So we're talking about gender experiments on children.
What?
Yes. They're talking about sterilization, giving girls testosterone to make them appear as males,
Oh yes, I've heard this commercial on the radio.
cutting off healthy breasts and genitalia.
But this is a political advertisement for what? Like,
This is for Joe Biden. Progressive politicians and their left-wing allies in government are pushing radical and irreversible gender experiments on children.
So wait, let's be clear. This is not Joe Biden's
it's
ad.
against
This is someone that's against
him.
You pass that down there, please.
This is someone that is against the current Biden administration.
See, and this is what bothers me is they play off people's emotions because they know it's a hot topic. A lot of people are very passionate about this, and they play off. They're gonna get somebody all hot and bothered. They get this in the mail, and they're like, Joe Biden is turning our boys into girls, whatever. You know what I'm
Hold
saying?
on.
Like,
Here's a point though, because there's points on these things. They're bullet points that they want people to understand. Secretly calling boys by girls' names and using incorrect pronouns in school.
secretly calling them by girls' names.
That is a problem. Obviously, it's printed right here in the bullets.
Who was the decipher, the decider? I don't know if that's a word, but decides what names are male names versus female names.
Courtney, Ashley, Stacy.
Those are all both.
Those are unisex
Yeah, those are
names.
unisex.
Yeah.
All names
I'm
really
thinking
can be unisex, but those are
Yeah.
like. But I'm just like, who decides that? Where's the rule book?
Like I've never met a guy, Toya, but it's still like it's weird.
It's out of hand.
It's weird.
I was
It's
watching
out of hand.
I was watching a program last night, and I noticed it said puberty blocking drug companies refuse to conduct safety trials. But I didn't even realize that you could give drugs that block puberty. In the program I was watching last night, it was a 10-year-old girl who got her menstrual cycle at 10 years old.
Yes.
And so they took her to the doctor in the program and was basically giving her the option to say, if you want to allow this to happen, yes, go ahead, or we can get you some medication that can just put it on pause until
Who
you're
are they
ready.
asking? Are they asking?
They're asking the 10-year-old what she
Which
wants
you
to
should
do.
not. They are giving children too much power because that trickle down effect is going to turn into, I don't have to listen to the teacher. I don't have to listen to the parent. I don't have to listen to anybody. I can make my own decisions about myself the way that I want to. So you're taking away parental rights and you're letting them make decisions that are going to change them for forever. They don't know yet.
I feel like if children at that age are not competent to stand trial if they were to do something bad because the argument is that their frontal lobe is not fully developed and they don't have the decision-making processes in place that they need to make those types of decisions and know right from wrong or whatever, then how can they know what they want to identify as? And I'm not saying like maybe some do. I don't have a stance either way because it ain't me. If my child comes to me with this, then we have that conversation and we'll figure it out from there.
Right.
But I don't care what nobody else does with their kids. I'm just saying my personal opinion is that if we can't legally charge them in court for doing, crimes as an adult, then why are we allowing them to make adult decisions that will affect their entire adult lives?
Well, I
So
think it
let's
depends on the crime.
talk about like some of these things that these bullet points that we're seeing on here, like what is it exactly that they're trying to accomplish, and then when we see these policies change, like how do these effects and these changes make you feel? Because again, they'll sell us a bill of goods on the ads that they put on TV and radio and mailers and everything, but it's like, are we following through to see if these changes that they said they would make will actually go into effect? Have you ever seen someone that you voted for say, I'm going to do A, B, and C, and actually saw it come to fruition?
Oh, wait, no, that part? No, I thought you was going to say, have you ever seen them say that? And then it didn't come to fruition. I'm like, yeah, every time.
Maybe that's the reason why our roads are the way that they are, because we're right.
Listen, don't talk about the roads.
Okay.
Every freeway is closed right now.
No,
I mean,
sort of
wasn't that a
construction.
promise that was made previous to make sure that was something
All
that
they
was
did
covered?
Well, I
was
think that's
add-
why the roads are closed
Exactly.
right now is because they're trying to work on them.
I feel like all they did was add speed bumps, and that's like between the pothole
that's
and
horrible.
the potholes and the speed bumps. Like my car gonna fall apart. Like that's ridiculous.
All cars falling apart aside, to be honest with you, I really don't see the purpose in this. Outside of making an announcement that this is what we think somebody's doing. Somebody with some money printed them up, made a smear campaign, and decided to say, this is what I think. Down to the point of the vagina may also be removed at this time. I didn't know you could remove a vagina.
I mean, if you can,
You can, but it's easier to dig a hole than it is to build a pole. So, whoa.
Dr. Toy. Dr. Toy.
But the biggest thing that I noticed that's
Somebody write that down.
What time was that?
please.
The biggest thing that I'm seeing advertised in, the whole political campaign is the Roe versus Wade. And so, we have to be, I feel like we do need to be careful. If you don't vote for anything, please don't take that right away. Because I feel like women need to I'm all about choice. I'm pro-choice. I don't care what you do with your body, but don't take my option of what I want to do. No matter, it's nobody's business what I want to do, but I want my option. And there's a lot of different circumstances with women, and I don't think it's fair. If a woman was raped, you mean she can't get an abortion? So that's a whole mental thing that she has to go through.
And then her child as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The incest exists. So you mean to tell me if it's a situation like that?
I just think that there are some candidates out here right now that are taking some very, very strong stances on these topics, which is cool. Let me know where you stand so that I can make a decision on if I want to support that or not. I mean, keep it black and white. It's cool if there's no gray. It just always seems like there is gray in the political arena. But so enough about the political table. Let's move on to our next topic, something a little more lighthearted, because we could talk about politics all day, even though some of us really don't care for politics.
Thank you.
Me.
None of us
But let's talk about the relationship table. We've all been in relationships, right? We are every woman, right? But there's been a conversation going around, over the last couple of years. I would say I've seen some viral videos talking about it where there's this "what can you do for me" conversation as opposed to, the compatibility factor.
Yeah.
Right? Men are now starting to ask women, what is it that you bring to the table?
As they should.
Well, because I think for a while, women were just like, what are you going to do for me? Because I think for a while it seemed like, women were the commodity, right? And men were like, but now the tables have turned. I feel like women have taken on a whole different thing. And so now it's like men and women are both looking at each other like, well, what can you do for me? Because women are like, I'm already independent. I work, I pay my bills, I take care of my kids, I run my own business. All the above, and I look good. Just got the BBL, whatever the case may be. Okay, or just got my revenge body, whatever the case may be. So, what are you gonna do for me? And the dude's looking like I got all my stuff going on too. I got a job, I got my car, my house, I'm this, that, the other. What can you do for me? Versus, like you said, the compatibility.
Yeah, and you listed off of quite a few things. So what is the table, though? When we talking about what can you bring to the relationship table, what is the table? Are we talking about in a marriage, in a household, and just a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship?
Definitely depends on what the table is.
Man, I feel like you got to build the kitchen before you put a table in there to put anything on it. And the kitchen is, are we compatible? Do we make sense as a couple, as a relationship? Okay, yes, we make sense. All right, then we can start to build that kitchen, build that table. What you bringing to the table now?
So you bring it back full circle. It's not just about what you bring to the table. There is the compatibility conversation. You have to have some compatibility. I mean, what if it's just physical attraction, though?
That's still a table to me. That's the thing. It depends on what table I'm sitting at for what I'm gonna bring to it.
And that's the question I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the table?
So say for instance, let's say it's a table in general. We just gonna say a relationship. If it's a table of a relationship, you know, our females just usually say the cliche things like, oh, I can cook, I can clean, I make this house a home. But men can do that too. It's kind of like women are always looked at as the prize, and men are saying like, well, hey, I'm a prize too. And I think it's important to have, like, I like mental stability at the table. Like, no matter what table it is, that's an important thing to bring to the table. Kind of like, because it's a utensil. You can't eat food without a utensil, right? So I like
Fork,
that.
knife, and spoon.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Values, morals, standards. Like, what are you doing with yourself
Emotional
regularly?
intelligence,
And that's really
the ability
important.
to have a conversation, exchange dialogue with the purpose of coming to a solution versus just arguing or voicing your opinion or how you feel. I think it's important to bring to the table, and I don't think these conversations are the ones being had
Not at all.
at all. And mind you, I've been with my husband now for 2.5 years, but prior to that, the dating experience that I had, it was just like, dudes really think if they throw, or at least in my experience, it seemed like dudes would approach me as if they threw money at me or whatever, like that I was supposed to swoon. And I'm like, I don't.
Because that's, go ahead,
I
Sabrina.
was gonna say it's just a standard of expectation at this point, and I mean okay. So in a dating situation, ideally, I'm looking like, okay, well, I can hold everything down, and I am doing this independent woman thing that I wasn't really all the way raised to know how to do completely, because there was still that stigma of when you get 18, you go to college, you do these things, you get married, you have kids. I can't even tell you how many people from my freshman class at Houston Tillotson done shacked up and had babies and did all these different things, because it's kind of like what's indoctrinated. You know, it's what you look for, what you think it should be the standard, regardless if you're compatible or not. I don't know that my mom and dad were really all that compatible. They still together to this day. And I think we can all attest to that. Like, we just seen some old people like, I don't know how you made it here, but you're here. And that's beautiful. But at the end of the day, I don't want to bring anything to the table that you could pay for regardless. There's a new show I was watching. It's called Home Economics. It's about 3 different siblings with 3 different economic situations. The richest one is the youngest one, and he has a nanny, and he just got divorced. This nanny takes care of him and his daughter like, that's her only thing to do. Like, she literally brings him ice cream. It's funny and it's cute and I love it. But it got me to thinking, a divorced man could live just as happily with a nanny taking care of him and his daughter. As a woman, I don't have to bring that to the table.
And so that it probably makes, like, say for instance, if he's dating a woman and she's like, oh yeah, because I love catering to a man, to be honest. Like, I'm that person that'll do stuff like that. So let's say I met a guy like that, he already has those things, like, oh, it has to be something else that, you know, he would find great about me. I have a pretty dope personality, but other than
Shameless plug.
right.
She's single.
I mean, and truthfully, you do, yeah.
Thank you. But you know, sometimes it's more than even just a personality. Like, are you supportive? Are you there as a shoulder? Some men need shoulders to cry on too. I feel like anybody who's with a man, that man should be able to feel vulnerable with that woman. Men are known to be strong. You can protect me, but, you know, strong people have weak moments too, and that's where I'm here for you to have that comfortability and do that. And I'm not going to judge you. You know, that's how it should be in my eyes.
So you've mentioned some of the things that you bring to the table, right?
It's milk.
What are some of the things that you as women require to be brought to the table as a part of the relationship?
Don't try to
going
change
back
me.
to that part for sure.
Don't try to change me. Don't come into my life and then nitpick at particular things about my person that you once thought were awesome, and then later on it's not befitting to you anymore. So you want to, maybe if you accept me exactly the way that I am.
Listen, I always get this thing, dudes are like, oh, you feisty, I like that. Until
It's on you.
Until you get my feistiness on your ass after we in a relationship. Then you don't like me no more. Then it's a problem.
You
now
too
I'm crazy.
feisty. That's like the guy that's dating a stripper and is like, I don't want you to be, this is what you met me doing, bruh.
Like, you got to get off that pole, babe.
How about I had a guy tell me that what I do for a living, if I was his woman, I would have to change my profession.
Well, that's why
sir,
you ain't
guess
his
what?
woman.
That's
why
why
I'm
you
not
are
with you.
not with me.
It's really a haystack, and to me, it's really a needle. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of hay out here. Okay, there's a whole lot of hay. And that's where they be.
Wait, and I just heard a phrase. Somebody said to me, just because, shit and chocolate look exactly the same.
Ooh-wee, come on.
Okay?
It do.
Oh, it's
do.
the smell.
I had to.
Shit, chocolate look the same.
I had to.
Y'all seen Miss Millie Pie?
Adjust my expectations based upon learning myself. So a second ago, I just said, I don't have to do that. But I find myself getting into relationships sometimes and being in cycles of, here I am. This is the best I got. I want to nurture. I want to love. I want to do these things. And I don't think that that's really what the requirement of most men that I've dated or potentially, that's not really, in my vision, what they absolutely need.
And listen, let's be clear. It doesn't always have to be a romantic relationship that we're talking about. It could be, friendships between girlfriends.
Ooh,
or
that's good.
And here's what I think. Now that I've done some evaluation on disappointment and expectation management, for me, I need somebody who is going to be supportive. I'm me and I'm always going to be me, but I'm always looking to evolve. I need someone who is brutally, critically, lovingly honest with me and challenges me in ways that will only, I can trust that whatever you got to say to me is really within the best interest of growing me and us.
You saying it out of love. You saying it from a place of friendship
right.
and
That's
truth,
right.
and not a place
Support.
of jealousy or I
Or that
envy
pick
you.
apart. I hate don't pick me apart. Like, that's why I don't date Virgos no more. It's like you're not,
That was specific.
I feel Virgo, I'm a run. But it's like, don't pick me apart. You can build me up, and I'm very good at accepting constructive criticism. But that energy, I'm big on energy, and you can tell when a person really just trying to pick you apart. I cannot date someone like that because it turns into do you really even like me? It's like you point out everything bad.
Well, so you had a great point. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna just talk about how Toy was talking about, what table are we talking about? Is it what's the relationship? If we're talking about relationship, and even Toy, you mentioned friendships, right? It could be outside of that. I think these conversations are necessary.
I'm Tam.
Tam, I knew that, girl. I knew that.
You need a
I was so in Tam what Toy was saying. I'm sorry. I know that, Tam. But anyway, my bad. I'm sorry. Okay, so
I totally interrupted your thought.
I'm sorry, because I'm like, I feel bad now, but I'm like,
I love you, Amber.
It's the tea. It's the tea.
It's the tea. It was like she was talking, and I'm looking at you, thinking about what she was saying. So anyway, but no. My thought is that those relationships, even friendships, especially as we get older, conversations, this whole WID 15 times a day is not the conversation that needs to be had when you're first getting to know someone in regards to dating. And even as a friend, I think as we get older, it's kind of different making friends, right, than when we were in school and stuff. So one of the friends, I actually met her through a dude I was dating, and they were best friends. It was a girl and a guy. They was best friends, whatever. He introduced me to her. We were all hanging out. And then me and him stopped dating. They kind of fell off, stopped being friends. Me and her picked up, and we're super cool friends. But we had conversations very early on about what friendship means to us and the things that we valued in a friendship. And she's so funny because she treats friendship like dating. You're not my friend, you're my associate, basically, until we have that conversation and I say you're my friend and we've established that. And I respect that. And I knew that up front. So we built that friendship with the expectation of, look, these are the things that I expect if you're going to be my friend. Yeah. And I love that so much. And I'm like, I think that I've had friends I've had forever where maybe we've had conversations here and there over the years, but we never really had that established conversation up front to be like, hey.
That's an excellent point. I was just having this conversation with my sister and another friend of mine who's very close to me. And it's maybe because you've had those friendships for so long and maybe they've grown apart a little bit, maybe we need to have this conversation. What does friendship mean to you? I've been in a very reflective place lately, just on relationships in general. And, to some people, it may feel like I have withdrawn a little bit. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out, okay, where am I at? Where do I want to place myself? What is it that I actually bring to the table as a friend? And what are my expectations? Because that's important. And I truly feel like the WID or the GIF or the just the random text that's non-specific to what I have going on in my life, it doesn't really establish true connection. Nope. You know, I need true connection in relationship. I require that. Yeah. So if any of my friends watching, I need true connection. I need to do better at giving it as well too.
Oh
yeah. You know,
and what you need
because it ain't through Facebook, it ain't through social media.
No, and a lot of people think that because I know what you're doing on Facebook and I commented on your status or I liked your picture or whatever, that means that I'm like established or I'm maintaining or nurturing that connection, and that is not it. If you're not calling my phone or we're not having a conversation, we're not. And granted, I'm a very like hands-off friend. Like I don't need you all up in my stuff every single day. I just when you're there, you're there. But understand that if something big is going on, no, a Facebook like or an Instagram like is not going to cut it. Like if you're my friend, absolutely. Like I think that we really we kind of disregard the importance of interpersonal relationships these days because of social media, and I wish we did better, and I'm trying to do better in my own personal life with my friendships, and I've had these conversations with friends I've been friends with since I was like 8 years old, and we have to revisit and just be like, you know, like right now this is the season I'm in, like what season are you in, and how can I support you, and I should have been a better friend. And man, it's humbling to like apologize when you're messing up, and I've had my friends call me out like, dude, you never check on what's going on with me, and I'm like, dang, I don't, I'm really bad at that. So now I make it a point, I'm gonna check on you because I care about you and I don't want to lose you as a friend just because I didn't text enough. Or
it's about intentionality, right? We got to be intentional in our relationships. Go ahead, Lovely.
The texting. That is a pet peeve of mine. Like, if it's something of importance, if something is seriously going on, if we are close, we are friends, we consider ourselves to be family, don't text me. Call me. Because, see, you can get lost in a text message. You can't really understand
and
or
they can
hear.
be tone deaf.
Yeah. You can't really discern what somebody is feeling just by reading.
I recently learned that about my youngest child when he moved away to school. And honestly, it was from watching his stories. And he posted something. He was like, if you really know me, you know I don't like texting. I like to talk.
That's right.
And I'm like, oh. Because, you know, when you was home, you ain't talk to me.
What's your mom?
So now I make it, I'm intentional about making sure that I call him. I think I'm getting on his nerves at this point.
But that's like you said, that's all intention. And it's like in order to, relationships are like living creatures. You have to feed them. You have to put in the nurturing in order for them to remain vital and viable for your needs in life. Because let me tell you something, everybody uses everybody for something. Everybody is...
You just shouldn't misuse people.
And then there within lies, we were talking about this off camera a little bit, having to prove yourself in certain situations, and people like having long friendships, and then, you know, you become an adult and all of a sudden these people who you've been friends with since you were kids are like assuming things about you that had nothing to do with you based on your action, but based on their experience.
Well, that was the person that you were then. As you grow, you change.
But reapproaching those relationships, right? And you're in this mode of openness and comfort, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad that this is back in my life, and it turns into things that you haven't been privy or like exposed to because you haven't been around them for so long or whatever the case may be.
It's like they're a new person. You got to get to know them all over again.
And that's within a relationship romantically
as well. It's nothing wrong with it at all. I just think that sometimes people need to put their egos to the side. Like, it's a lot of friends that I don't get to be around like I used to. And some understand and then some don't. They think I'm acting funny. And it's like, it's just not that. I have other priorities now. No, I don't have any children, and no, I'm not in a relationship. But that does not mean that I don't have responsibilities and priorities and things that I have to do and attend to. I just can't sit up in the cut all day anymore.
And it has to be both ways, because that's bringing it to the table. If this is something that I'm giving you, it's likely that's something that I need from you as well, because people love people the way they want to be loved, not the way that the other person wants to be loved.
You better say it.
And that's just the reality of it. But bringing that to the table,
I would say on that note, how do y'all feel about having the conversation about love languages, like early on? Like, do you know what your love languages
Yeah.
are?
Yep.
Do you know?
Some people don't believe in love
How you-
languages.
really?
But there's a book about it. But some people don't believe in
What's
love
to
languages.
believe?
Yeah.
I think mine is different depending on what my relationship is with that person. Because
Well, I
there's
think
a
they can change too. Like
They can.
Yeah,
They
so
can
person to
change.
person, year to year, like it can change. But I think just being aware of your love language, and not only that, but how you give love. Like,
Yeah.
are you aware
Mm-hmm.
of the love language that you tend to naturally give out? Because if your spouse's or your person you're dating's love language is physical touch, but your love language is giving gifts, that's how you should. That's a disconnect.
Yeah.
So you got to change the way that you give love.
do both.
I don't know. I've been married to my husband for going on 20 years now, and his love language is touch. He's very affectionate. He's always kissing on me, rubbing on my back and just touching me, right?
Oh, now you ain't gonna rub me?
I mean,
You don't want to be touched now, Sabrina.
like, I don't know. Can I touch you? but and my love
language too.
and I feel like that's his love language, and I probably need to do a better job of reciprocating that. I mean, I do it sometimes, but also my love language is gifts. Like, buy me something nice. And his thing is, I'm doing this for the home, I'm doing that for the home. As far as being a provider, he's on a different level. And I'm
So that's like acts of service, though. Like providing is a service thing. So it's just like, see, y'all loving doing these different love things, and it's just like reconnecting, re-engaging, having those conversations. I know, like in identifying what those love languages are. I think at the end of the day, it's just communication, having those
Is
conversations.
it bad if I want all of them?
I don't think so, but I think that
Just a little bit of all of them.
I would
Take
imagine
up space, toy. Okay, take up all the space.
just like touch me, gift me, tell me I'm beautiful, like everything all at once.
And come to all my shows. And
There
watch
you
every
go,
morning.
yeah.
Every morning.
So let's have a little bit of fun. All right. So what is like the worst pickup line? I mean, how many of us
Oh my, I got this.
You just
I gave it.
okay,
Say less.
Go ahead.
Say less.
Go ahead.
So this one time, I was very pregnant with my youngest son at the gas station. See, I already know where this is going.
Oh.
This fool said, "Hey, my baby can play with your baby. I got a baby on the way too."
Oh,
I was like,
my
"What?"
God.
He was trying to holler like, "Hey, just calling shit out or whatever, calling stuff out or whatever." And then he was like, "I got a baby on the way too. My baby can play with your baby." And I was like,
Oh my God.
never have I been so speechless.
I feel like mine aren't cute or funny, the things that people say. Like, I get some crazy pickup lines, and some of them kind of vulgar even at that. I won't say them on here, but I think the most one is just like, ugh, get away from me. It's just like, oh, they'll just ask like, you got a man? And if I don't like a guy, I usually say like, oh yeah, I have a lot of fake boyfriends. And so I'm like, yeah, I got a man. Like, that's all right, I got a woman too. What the hell? Like, no. No. Yeah.
For me, it's the fact that I always wear my wedding ring, right? And men still approach me. I don't know if they don't see it or what, but they'll approach me and like, just maybe give me a compliment or whatever, and then be like, so can we exchange phone numbers? And I'll be like, nah. I'm married,
you
happily.
Like,
You know
no,
what one of
you
my
can't.
friends do to avoid a guy talking to her that she's not interested in? She calls him boss man. So he'll be like, hey, how you doing? She was like, I'm good. What's up, boss man?
Straight
Turn it all
friend
the way
zone.
around.
Straight to the friend zone.
Like, hey, bro.
I go into actress mode. Like, sometimes instead of allowing myself to use that energy as negative, I turn it into a conversation, and that throws people off. Like, just actually like,
So what does that sound like, Sabrina?
Toy, go ahead. You the dude.
Oh, what's up, baby? You looking good. New earrings.
Me?
Yeah.
Listen, I thought I was looking good, but you looking good. Yeah, you with your earrings. Yes. In fact, where'd you get those?
Rainbow.
Did you get them for your woman? No, look.
That's right.
See what she did there?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
When it comes to somebody that I am really interested in, though, because earlier you asked, what do we want brought to the table to us?
Yeah.
I like how Lovely said, like, don't change me. I want to be myself. I don't want to be changed. I want somebody to be supportive of me and encouraging of me. And listen to me, laugh with me, talk. That's my homie. Like, I want
That's a great way to somebody to get to know you if they want to. Come with a joke. Make me laugh off the top.
I love a good sense of humor.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Does the initial meeting give you an indication of what the person interested in you may bring to the table?
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I was stumbling over that one.
Possibly, but not necessarily, because you can meet someone in a grocery store and they go like, oh yeah, you know, he's a good provider and he's
Oh, I
out
know
here
some
shopping.
couples who
and
met
stuff.
at the gas station who've been married for a long time.
I tend to meet people just random. I don't ever really like, all right, let me make this plan and go meet somebody
Right,
here
me
and let me
neither.
try
Yeah.
these places. I just so
Right.
happen to, okay, look, this old friend or this person in passing or whatever the case may be. And I actually, and I don't know a whole lot of women that do this, but I literally will ask them, what are your intentions? Because I
It's
like
important
to
to
know.
ask.
You gotta be direct.
And I ask in a way in which is very like, you know, conversational, but to me, I'm very direct. I keep it very, very direct. I like you. This is what I like about you. This is what I think we could do together. What do you think? And it's not that cracker dry, but normally if I ask what the intentions are, it throw them off for a second and they'll come to the point.
But
well,
that's important, and
I'm
you
just
know
trying
why
to
it
get to know
throws them
somebody,
off?
you know, just kind of want to hang out, see what
Right.
happens.
I
and
just
I
wanna
know
see how
what you
it
bring into the
goes.
table
Right.
with that response.
Trying to get my buns.
All right, so last question. Last
Exactly.
question. Last question. Has anyone ever approached you with a pickup line that just impressed you and blew your socks off? If so, what was it? If y'all can remember.
It was simple though, but I liked it. He was just like, "You are so pretty," like, and I was just like, "Oh, thank you." And then he had a beautiful before too, but it was like he said it sincerely, because I done heard some guy say, "What's up, sweetheart? Hello, beautiful." Like, you just called that cockeyed chick down there with 1, 2, beautiful. Like, we is not the same, bruh. So, you know, but it just seemed sincere. It's with energy with me that you give off too.
Lovely, was you about to say one?
Oh man.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought you was
Yeah.
about to say something.
No.
You got one?
No. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, so I have one kind of. I've told this story on the podcast, but I'm gonna tell it again. Okay, so it was on a dating app actually, and the dude, and it's not, I didn't swoon. I was like, oh my god, but it was hilarious. It was amazing. He was like, I want to do like 28 of the 50 Shades of Grey to you or something. And I was like, oh my god. But the funny thing is, we talked on the app for a long time, and then we ended up like talking on the phone and stuff. We ended up being like really good friends. We never like dated or did anything. We just ended. He used to be like, well, I don't talk to him much anymore because I'm married. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's kind of weird because how I met him.
Right.
But he was like my best guy friend for years, and that's how we met. And I always thought that pickup line, for whatever reason, the way he said it and everything was just like hilarious to me. I loved his sense of humor, and yeah, we was like super cool, but he never got the cheeks. So
I got one.
he never got the cheeks. He never even got to do one of those 50 Shades to me.
So I look at pickup, it doesn't have to be that moment. It could be like, okay, so this particular story, I met somebody at an event, and this was a while ago, and I said, is your name such and such? He's like, no, it's something else. I said, oh, well, hi, something else. Nice to meet you, da-da-da. And we had this nice little talk, and he ended up being really interesting. So we went and grabbed tea, and we spoke, and we had a whole cute little, tea situation and talked about different industry stuff. And then at the end of this conversation over tea, and I'm just like, wow, by this man, he's like, okay, so can we go on a trip?
That's my love language.
And I'm sorry. And it took me aback because, again, this was like I approached him not in that way, but as the conversation went on and everything else, he kind of, I guess, in his mind was like, this was my whole idea the whole time. But I really didn't know because I was just honestly, I was like, is your name? No? Oh, nice to meet you. And then I get into this friendly conversation. This man ended up wanting to take me somewhere.
what's
But let's
funny
make
you
sure
say
that this trip is all expenses paid by you because you invited me. Don't get me there and expect me to go half on nothing.
No,
Because that was a whole thing. I don't know if y'all remember that, but it was a whole thing on social media where a dude took a girl on vacation and got her there, and then she ended up having to buy her ticket home, get her own room or something.
That's
It was
because
like
she wasn't giving up the buns.
it was like $1,500 whole dollars that she did not have. But anyway, the organic vibes, the energy that you get when you're in a relationship whether it be a romantic relationship,
Or platonic.
platonic friendship or just, you know, friends being friends. It's the vibes, the energy. I think it all just needs to be on point. So
you gotta trust that. You gotta trust. You gotta trust
absolutely.
where you're vibing at, because
You
low
gotta trust where
vibrations
you're
you feel
vibing
it. High vibrations you feel it. But you feel it. Your intuition is there for a reason. We ignore it first.
So
Yeah, because I don't want people to suck so bad, and sometimes they do.
And they do.
I'm gonna let you get in here, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap up.
So it's only one. It's only one that came through the mental Rolodex. So I went to a party with some friends, and the guy was in the kitchen cooking.
Say no more.
I find that attractive.
Yes.
But that's not what did it. So I go in the kitchen, and he's like, "Are you hungry?" "Yeah, I can eat. Come on, what you got?" He was like, "Come here. I'm small." This man picks me up, sits me on the counter, takes a spoon, picks the food up, and say, "Here, open your mouth. Say less."
Okay.
I like it. That was very impressive.
Zeddy? What you need, Zeddy?
Should I close my eyes and open my mouth?
This is not a blind test.
Do you want me behind here?
No, we're not doing that. But that was good. That was
You're
good.
watching.
That was it. That was it.
That's the one.
That's a good one.
No, we're gonna end on that though, because that was great.
That was great.
So listen, thank you all again for tuning in to the 3rd episode of the Every Woman Show. Keep rocking with us. Come back next week. We're going to do some fun stuff, I think, for Halloween. So, you know, we might decorate the set a little bit. We might be dressed up. I might not be here, but
We
but I would love for y'all to tune in Mondays, 10 a.m. to the Every Woman Show. We appreciate you watching. Y'all have a great rest of the day.
Bye. It's like more noise now.
That was me that time. I was like, well, let me readjust so I get a fresh start. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Everybody else good? Okay, it was just me and Sabrina then.
Bring me into it.
I didn't want to be alone.
You're not alone.